Well, welcome back to another episode of Back to Paranormal. My name is Brian Mitchell, and this is the show that we talk about a lot of things that go bump in the night, or bump in the dark, or bump somewhere. And I'm sitting here with my beautiful co-host.
Hi.
It's Marjorie. Say hello, Marjorie.
Hello. How are y'all?
Everybody say hello to Marjorie. So, we are here.
Thank you, by the way.
Well, you're awfully beautiful.
Thank you, darling.
She's very pretty. Anyway.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. Stop. So we are going to talk about a lot of different things tonight, but we always start off with a drink now.
Oh, yes.
And I don't want everybody to think that we're just drinking uncontrollably here. Like we start like with 12 cocktails before we start the show. That's not the case,
No.
And no, not at all. But anyway, what are you drinking tonight? And it's the same thing I'm drinking tonight.
Yes, I served us some Blue Moon.
Blue Moon with a sliver of
orange.
Yes. So we're going to have a little toast.
Let's boop.
And this is
a Blue Moon.
No, our 10th anniversary episode. No, it's our 10th.
Oh my gosh, is it really?
It's our 10th episode.
Hey, double digits.
There we go.
Boop.
Here we go. Boop,
Two boops.
Boop. Ah, there we go. We're going to take a sip. And there we go. Glug, glug, glug.
Episode 10.
Episode 10.
Wow.
So there's 9 other wonderful episodes before this, and we've gotten a lot of great comments from these.
We have had some
audience.
nice. Oh boy, I think my orange. Hold on.
Yeah, mine is. So what's happening is her bottle of Blue Moon is overflowing.
It had a very boisterous reaction to the boop.
So Marjorie had to take care of that, but
I did.
Our past episodes have. People are really starting to pick up listening, and that's a great thing.
And someone asked us a question.
Oh no!
No, I like it.
Is it a good one?
It's a good question.
Okay.
A couple people who like friends have asked, and then AR from Rochester, New York.
Well, hey, AR
has asked.
Yes.
Who wrote your theme song? Where did that come from?
Well, it's actually a long story.
They call it very touching and stirring.
Yes. We hired a composer, and he is known as the composer, and so he's a professional, but he did not want his name mentioned. And I guess it's because he does a lot of pro work, so he did some stuff for us.
He did great stuff for us.
He did some great stuff, and he gave us some themes for. I have another thing. Well, no, this is part of Cartoonerific Studios. So this is kind of an offshoot project, the Back to Paranormal podcast. But the Cartoonerific company, we have a library of music that we've had composed for us. And this actually, the theme came from one of the things that he did for us. And so, but I took it and rearranged it. So it's not the full arrangement, but I rearranged it so that it would play for the, and we had
it works.
We had a somber theme. We had a somber theme that was actually for something else. And I was able to take it and modify it for the show. And so that is the theme. But it's by this talented guy, and who won't give his name. He doesn't want us to give his name.
Well, we had to provide a lot of direction for the original. If we were to play the original from which our Back to Paranormal theme song is derived, it would blow you away that the one came from the other. But
yeah.
You did a good job.
Well, thank you so much. But it came from the material he supplied us. So anyway, thank you so much, Mr. Composer.
Yes.
So there you go.
And thank you, AR from Rochester, New York.
And that's about as vague as you're going to get. So yeah.
Well, it's part of the Cartoonerific songbook that you have.
Yes, so. we have some stuff, which is wonderful. So anyway, today's podcast, what are we going to be talking about today?
Crop circles.
Crop circles. Things go round in circles. Yes.
Like a bird up in the sky.
Oh, we can't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got to be careful.
You're going to have to cut that out.
No, I'm leaving it in. Anyway, it's a phenomenon. It's been going on for a long time, and more so in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and up until now.
I'm usually pretty good about not interjecting the music as it comes into my mind, because when we were discussing Sasquatch Odyssey,
right,
and Renee, who kept Renee, what was his name? DeHinden.
Yes.
Wow,
that's good memory.
Bigfoot.
I forgot about that as soon as we did it. So
no, how can you forget this character?
I didn't forget it. I'm just saying.
He's in the documentary. He's being interviewed,
right.
And in every interview, he starts losing his temper and storming off.
Yes.
And how I had to suppress. It took all the might inside to not. Every time he would storm off, I wanted to say, "Don't walk away, Renee."
Oh,
I knew we'd get in really big trouble.
Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. Don't walk away, Renee.
He kept getting angry and storming off, and then coming back again.
Coming back for more
And I was like, "Hey, where are you going?"
Hey, come back here.
Come back. Yeah. Anyway, today is crop circle
Today is
day.
crop circles. And do you... Okay, so a lot of people believe that these are from extraterrestrials. And the thing that I kind of picked up on right away with some of these things, and I think you agreed with me, is a lot of them look like they were made from a spirograph play set.
I loved that game, Brian. I loved that game.
I think every kid has had one. I hope that every kid had one.
I would get so upset when there would be like the tiniest little kink in the line, and then I'd have to start all over again.
Yeah, but didn't it, like when you looked at some of these crop circle things?
Yes,
kind of looks like that, right? Mm-hmm. So what are your feelings on it? Do you think that there's some that could be from extraterrestrials, or do you think... See, I would think that if an alien is coming down, Mr. Alien, okay, maybe they'll land in a flat field, right, with their elaborate flying saucer or whatever the space vehicle is. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to be like, lifting up the flying saucer and creating a bunch of patterns and then just flying off. But hey, what do I know?
Well, okay.
Are you a believer in crop circles? Or you're a little bit of a skeptic? How would you?
Okay, today I am a huge bit. I'm a bit of a skeptic.
Okay.
But I do have to say that in a lot of our geography, all over the globe, there are so many very, very grand scale patterns that are carved into stone, into sand, whatever, that are meant to be a message to the sky, whether that is to God or whether it's to extraterrestrial beings that are not of Earth. Mm-hmm. I do not know the answer to that, but I do know that man, for thousands of years has been trying to communicate something almost in our terrestrial, I would say, the obverse terrestrial response to the constellations that we see and we read in the night sky. And this is what we have to offer. So
Right.
geographically, we're offering a language back to the sky. And
Gotcha.
the purpose is always, I do not know, because I didn't live when they made the Nazca lines, for example. And but all of this did kind of start in 1966. There was an Australian banana farmer in a town near Tully in Queensland, a very, very remote area of Australia. And he was, very early morning harvesting and on his tractor. And he heard a loud sound, and he thought that a hissing, and he thought that something had happened to his vehicle, so he stopped to see what he needed to fix. And at that moment, in a sort of marsh grass area near where he was passing through,
Right.
a very, very large blue light lifted up out of the grass, and that was the source of the sound that he was reacting to. And when he went to go, and it flew off, and then he went to go investigate further, and he called it like a nest. He said the marsh grass had been pressed down in a clockwise formation.
Right.
And the people did come, they did photograph the UFO nest, as it was referred to, and but he was all alone at 4:35 a.m. And so he didn't have enough evidence as to the craft that he perceived to be the creator of this UFO nest.
Right. So it was just one person.
It was
that
just
saw
one
this.
person.
Yeah.
They photographed the nest. And then it just, as the 70s and the 80s and the 90s progressed, it started to pick up. It very much picked up in a specific, mostly England,
Right.
but very much in a specific region of England, which is Wiltshire, near the Salisbury Plain, and not too far from Glastonbury, which has just so many roots in folklore and astrology, and deemed to be a very sacred or spiritual place.
Right.
As it's one of the oldest above ground Christian churches.
Wow.
Yeah. So then these crop circles, are starting to come up all over, and it's, usually in the summer when people like to go visit lovely places like the south of England.
Right.
And as you had pointed out, they're never very far from a road or another tourist attraction.
They're close to. They're not
stone's throw from.
They're close to populated areas, right?
So how this all started, how it started as a hoax, or it started as a UFO landing and leaving its mark on a remote neck of the woods, I do not know. But what we see now, I'm honestly inclined to chuck it.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of reasons why.
The one thing that I said it looked like a spirograph, and honestly, if you have somebody with a rope and they measure the rope, right? They measure it out, and they have one guy holding it in the center, and then just somebody holding a taut and walking all the way around. They're going to create a circle. And so if they kind of mark those areas, and then they could actually attach it to a plank, which is what some hoaxers were doing, two guys.
Yes,
and
Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley.
Yes. They could easily make a crop circle with a piece of wood and this rope. And if they needed to do a straight line, they had a way of doing that too.
The circle is the easiest geometric. Any idiot can take up a stake.
Yeah.
And
put a rope on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
even me.
Anybody. Yeah.
Even I.
Okay. And I think they got really good at it.
Oh, some of them are They're beautiful.
I mean, it even got to the point where they did a bunch of these. I don't know if it was hundreds of them. And I don't, it's fun. It's funny to me. It's like, if you're gonna do like a hoax, you think that maybe they would try to make some money from it. But they weren't. I don't think they were making any money from it. They were just going out there in the middle of the night and just spending their whole night just doing these things. Mm-hmm. And it seems like a royal waste of time. I mean, it's kind of like, there was a show called the Dana Carvey show, and they had these two guys that were always like they were playing these weird games on people. And then they wouldn't even wait to see the result of it. They would just drive off in a car and they'd be laughing,
Like pranksters?
Yeah, pranksters.
Okay,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, nobody else was in on the joke except for them. So, it's kind of like the same thing. It's like
very little gratification.
Yeah. The only thing is like, they'll see the news stories, but it's like, yeah, but what are you getting? All this effort for like zero return, it's just so
like they'd leave. Okay, so these lunkheads would leave like the flaming bag of poo on someone's porch, drive away in hysterics, like knee slapping, okay, and then it just extinguishes itself into a small pile of cinders, barely noticeable, and homeowner
may stamp on it.
The prankstee just walks out and doesn't even.
He sees the flaming bag, tries to put it out with his foot, and of course he's stepping in dog poop. I can't imagine the satisfaction. I don't know. I think one night of doing that would be like plenty, But to continue doing it, like, this is a great idea. Let's do this again.
Some of these are very elaborate, and
they are,
and it's a lot of planning and a lot of math,
a lot of math,
a lot of planning that goes out, and then the group tries to get it done under the darkness of night,
right, in pitch black.
But there are 365 days in the year. Okay. How many days? I don't know.
What, to do one of these things?
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like they had some sort of a method that they could, do one pretty quick. And then depending on the size. And then they would do smaller ones, which probably did very, very quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I would think the planning of it would be like,
the
okay, this is how we're going to do this one, this is how we're going to do this one, and so on and so forth.
Planning would be the lion's share.
That would be the lion's share, yeah. So
I don't know. When this whole thing started to come out in like the late 80s, like it became like, what is this? And everybody was kind of getting spooked out by them in the 90s.
Yeah.
I was very interested. I was like, that would really spook me out. If I'm a farmer,
right?
Okay, and I go out to check on stuff the next day, and I see that this has all happened, and then you step away and you can see that
it's actually destroying the crops.
Well, first of all,
if they do it in a wheat field, right, you're destroying the crops.
As you know, a big part of my family are farmers.
Okay,
they raise cattle, they raise dairy, they feed all their own.
Right.
And let me tell you, if they saw some prankster out on their land,
kaboom!
Yeah,
they'd probably shoot them.
There would be
Yeah.
There would be hell to pay.
Yeah.
I mean, I went up to a wooded property of my own. And I saw that someone had been cutting my timber. This is 15 years ago, and I'm still mad about it today.
Yeah. Well,
so there would be gunfight.
Let me ask you this: If somebody created crop circles in a field, let's say a farm's not doing well, just throwing this out, right?
Which they tend to.
Yeah. Well, let's say a farm's not doing well that year. It's like we're not gonna reap any money off of these crops.
Let's sacrifice a hectare and
Yeah, let's get the two guys over here. Let's have them put some crop circles back there, and we'll charge for a tour.
There's a landowner named Tim Carson, and he owns a farm that is very often a target for the crop circles. And I think at this point he's fed up with it.
Right.
But one of the first ones that came across, he said it was my most profitable 3 acres ever.
Because they were charging.
Because they were charging
for people.
Admissions. They made
Right.
T-shirts and key fobs. And,
right. I'm not saying that they purposely did this as a tourist attraction. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, if, it just seems like with the UFO thing, like we had a previous show, we were talking about UFO Witness, which we hate the show.
Hate it.
Well, we don't hate it. We don't hate the people on it.
It was just a big stinker.
Yeah, it was a stinker. But but I did point out that the town where supposedly they had, flying saucers coming out from behind a mountain, it would be a way of generating some sort of income. And I think, what is it, Area 51 has like gift shops around it. There's a town over there. And
Roswell. Huge tourist attraction. It's like Graceland.
Yeah. Of UFOs.
Instead of, so.
Of unidentified flying objects.
The destruction of barley and wheat, is that England's answer to Elvis? Really? That's the best you can do.
Poor Elvis.
Poor England.
Yeah. Oh. Well, hey, we have people from England listening to this show, so we're not goofing on England. We goof on everything.
Beautiful country. It's a beautiful country.
It is beautiful.
I do love the country.
I've never been there. You have to take me there one day.
Oh, I would love to take you.
You should. Maybe we'll investigate some of the crop circle attractions.
But the best time to go is when it's cold.
Right.
I'm the only one who says that, by the way.
I think some of this stuff is authentic. I think there's a lot that's manufactured. And I can't get my head past why a flying saucer would come down here and destroy a field, making all these different patterns for no good reason,
Yeah.
Because, and it's funny because these things have been interpreted as, this is a message from outer space. And, this is kind of giving us, a preview of what's to come, from...
There was one that was a very large crop formation. It wasn't a circle. It was almost like rectangular, as though it was a stamp. And it had the portrait of the common, tall gray alien.
The stereotypical tall gray.
The stereotypical tall gray.
Yeah.
Do you think that there were any aliens who saw it from the sky and was like, "Hey, I don't look like that. I look nothing like that." They're way off.
It's possible. It's a possibility. We're going to market that phrase.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things there that I'm not...
Some of them are very, very pretty, but when they are a direct reference to, the common sort of conception of what an alien could possibly resemble or what it looks like or what have you. Mm-hmm. There's this woman named Monique Klinkenberg, and she started the Center of...
Was it Crop Circle Studies?
I think it's something like that.
I don't know. What's the last name? Klinkenberg?
Klinkenberg.
Wow, it's something out of Hogan's
It's
Heroes.
The Crop Circle Visitor Center.
Yeah.
And I read the sort of the welcome page to the Crop Circle Visitor Center, and like 3/4 of it is about where you can go to shop, where you can go to get good walking tour maps, where you can go to eat. Apparently, the Honey Street Mill Cafe with garden terraces along the canal. You can enjoy a wide range of delightful refreshments, fresh salads, soups, and some unique dishes.
What kind of sandwiches do they have?
If you keep reading on about the Crop Circle Visitor Center,
Right.
you can pull up a menu for the Honey Street Mill.
What do they have? What do they have for breakfast? Crop Circle pancakes. I'm sorry.
In the shape of tall grays.
I know. Does it sound like I'm making fun of this?
I feel like now I'm doing that too. I think some of them are really quite beautiful, but like I said, coming from a farming culture, and even just in general, I'm very offended by the waste of food and the destruction of someone's hard labor.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why these concentrate in a prosperous country,
Right.
like England.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to believe that, a nation, an area of the world where they desperately depend on successful crops, that they would condone people going out in the night and
I want to talk about the
destroying
crops. I want to talk about the Crop
food.
Circle breakfast again. Do they have Crop Circle eggs as well?
At the Honey Street Mill Cafe.
Yeah.
They have a walker's welcome destination.
Okay.
They have good quality walking with plenty of documented walking routes for you to follow.
Is there a Crop Circle resort over there, or no?
There are places to stay, eat, things to do, and the ancient history. It's literally like 7/8 of their homepage is about visiting the area.
Well, if you're going, if she has a website about crop circles and visiting the area.
Yes, but then when you go to her website, you
Right.
go to this website, the visitor center website, and you try to click on any link pertinent to crop circles.
Yes.
What's the latest and the greatest in the mustard flower field? You know,
Right.
Page is not available.
No, really?
Yes, Brian.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. Well, I don't know what to say about that.
I think that says it all.
I've kind of researched some different things,
Okay.
and nothing looks too good with the crop circle thing. It all comes up like, oh, it's a man-made phenomenon. That these guys really kind of started, even though people claim it goes back to the 1600s, 1700s.
Yes,
but it's not. But
there
it's
was
not.
a natural historian, Professor Robert Plott. He wrote a book titled "A Natural History of Staffordshire," also in England, in 1686, and he does make passing remarks about rings, circles, and other shapes in grassy fields.
Right.
But what exactly those are, I wouldn't know. And there are a lot of. I'm very much of the belief that plants evolve and they communicate. And there are some plants that know that if they grow in a circle and they kind of team together and then they leave the center of the dirt barren, they're kind of creating their own well. From which they can draw water. They can drink. So they've evolved to kind of communicate with one another. We'll make this nice tight circle, and we'll have this available drinking source.
Nature tends to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are certain things that happen, where things are naturally round, right? I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about that.
And then in 1678, there was a pamphlet printed in a woodcut, and it was titled "The Mowing Devil." But again, this was kind of the result of a little feud that a farmer had with a neighbor when he asked him to mow down some 3 acres of his crop, and the price that he was offering wasn't satisfactory, and they had a big fight, and so then he woke up the next day and it was all cut down, but it was cut.
Yeah.
There are a lot of scientists who say, or they call themselves cerealogists,
Yes.
like cereal,
Like breakfast cereal.
like wheat check, like corn checks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly. Captain Crunch is my favorite. Captain Crunch corns circles. Yeah. Sorry.
And they say that the man-made crop circles show breakage to the stalks because
Yes.
they've been trampled on
Right.
with a great deal of force to get them to go down and stay down.
Right.
And then the ones that they feel are not man-made, they've done tests to how the stalks were bent, and they weren't broken, but they were radiated.
Radiated like microwave. Yeah. Yeah, those are maybe the exceptions to the to all the other stuff that's been happening. Hey, look, anything's a possibility.
It is a possibility.
But I think the problem here is that there's just so much that is artificially done, artificially created. And so, that's a problem. We've talked about this before in other podcasts, like, where you have a show that they're talking about ghost sightings, right? And you get some footage that looks very authentic, but then people are sending in stuff that's just kind of like manufactured and created to make it look like, somebody's opening a door, or a doll is pulled across the room magically, all of a sudden it flies across the room, or, and some of them look absolutely authentic, and there are some that don't. And that people are sending in some fabricated stuff just because, for the kick of it or whatever. Maybe they're getting a few bucks out of it. I don't know. But because there's normally more of the artificial stuff, the man-made created stuff, that people look at it and they don't believe the real stuff.
Yes.
And so that's always a problem.
It is. And
even with these ghost hunter shows where you have like kindred spirits. And I just read something on Amy Bruni's website. There was somebody that came on there and they said, I think all these things are phony. All these shows are phony. I'm leaving this group. I'm never coming back. And I think Miss Bruni actually responded.
Was it Renee DeHenden storming off again?
No. No. It was just somebody saying that. And I know as a fact, from me, I know I've had my own experiences, and I think Miss Bruni got a little bit offended by that because she said, that's your opinion, girl. That's not, I don't do that.
I don't blame her for being offended by that. There are some shows that are phony.
There are shows that feel really heightened, dramatized. And I'm not a big fan of those shows. I know some people really get a kick out of them because they look at it as almost like a form of entertainment, like a horror movie, right?
Sure.
But if I'm going to watch a show where they're doing true ghost investigations, I want to watch a show and see what they get. Even if they turn up with nothing on the show, at least I know that they're doing an authentic investigation.
Yeah, I think that Ms. Bruni's intentions are spot on, and they're always in the right place. And if stuff doesn't come up, she's not going to lie about it.
Right.
So I don't blame her for being offended by
it. Yeah. Well, I was kind of offended by it, but I think this person was a little bit frustrated because
I don't blame, because you've said many times, you have the bulk of it as fake and phony and hoaxy.
Yeah.
And then it gives the quality material a black eye.
It gives everything a black eye. And I think it's the same thing here with the crop circles, because I'm sure there's some that are very authentic. But you have these hoaxers out there that are just like...
I definitely believe the Australian farmer who saw what he saw.
Yeah.
In 1966, this gentleman probably had very little to gain by going and saying, what he saw.
I agree. I agree. It's just so hard because, and like I've said in the past, how do you prove this stuff? I've had stuff happen to me. It's like, well, what proof do you have? It's like, well, I don't have any. It's like what I saw or what I heard. It's very hard. The only way you can really it's not really proving it, but if you have two people or three or more witnessing an event, and I definitely heard that, and it was very deliberate or whatever, or I saw this thing walk through the wall or whatever, it gives it a little bit more credibility. But people who are watching it, if this is on a show or, they're giving an interview or whatever, it's kind of like, well, it's their word against your word,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's not the right.
No, I mean,
you know what I mean.
You are one of the rare few who you are a man of your word. And so I take that, and most people do. But there were a lot of people who said that these crop formations would come up and they would associate it with lights in the sky at night.
Yeah. There'd be a couple of different things going on.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, you're trusting one or two people on a particular event, and you don't know where they're coming from. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but obviously a lot of these crop circles that we're talking about were definitely man-made, and that's kind of sad. So anyway, we're going to do this again. I would
be so open to someone proving my skepticism wrong on this one.
Yeah.
As I remember when this started to be a big phenomenon, and in the 90s, and I just thought to myself when I started seeing these things, I was like, if I saw something like that, I would be so scared.
Yeah.
I'd be really, really frightened.
Right.
I mean, if it were my farm, I'd be mad as hell, but I'd also be really, really scared.
I think if this is really happening, it's a bunch of aliens that are artists. They're artist aliens, and they're coming down. They're expressing their art on our planet. Because I don't know if they're really communicating anything. I mean, we watched a couple of different shows on this too. Like Ancient Aliens had a couple of shows.
Oh
on it.
My gosh!
And,
we saw some guys. We looked up some documentaries on TV on Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi or not Tubi.
Not to be.
Not to be. Some of these things were pretty horrible and produced on a shoestring budget, shot with a Kodak movie camera.
Camcorder.
Like something.
Oh, some of them were so excruciating. I just said, I can't.
Yeah, we had a hard time.
I can't do this.
And even though some of these actually had some experts on it, and they're talking about it. And honestly, some of these so-called experts are just like a little bit too, if you know what I mean. Meaning,
like they reading too deeply into everything?
Yeah.
They want it so badly.
They want it so badly.
Okay. Yeah.
So they, obviously, when you have a documentary about crop circles and you're trying to sell a point, you're going to ask people, well, let's not talk about, the possibility that it could be like man-made. Let's talk about the possibilities that it could be from aliens. Let's go from that point of view. And so if that happens, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, but it doesn't give like an even point of view. And, and stuff like this really needs it. It needs, the skeptic in there. You have to kind of put that in there. Well, it's possible that this could be man-made. There was an expert, and I think his name was Delgado. His last name was Delgado. I don't know if we have that his full name, but he was a so-called serial expert, a seriology expert. And he claimed that one crop circle that was done was absolutely not from this planet. It came from outer space. Alien came down and did this crop circle. And the hoaxers that we were talking about before, they basically kind of recreated it. And so,
Yeah.
So they said, no,
You mean
that was us.
Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley?
Yes, they're kind of famous on this show. On this particular show. Yeah.
They
so
went
they,
and they
yeah,
debunked his...
They debunked, he said, absolutely
analysis.
authentic. This came from outer space, and they made him look like mincemeat. So, anyway. I don't have...
They're kind of neat to see, like, what people are creating, and I love, any form of art, but... And I know I'm going to come across like a real Debbie Downer, but it makes me sad to see growing things, and particularly food, to be destroyed like that.
Destroyed
I'm
for
such
a
a
hoax.
stick in the mud right now. I feel bad.
No, that's all right. That's all right. No, I understand. I don't. I feel the same way about food. Because there are people that are starving.
And
no,
it's
there are people.
so much work.
It's so much work, yeah. But but it's true. There are people who are starving, and it's like it really bothers me. Like some of these things, like they'll have a hot dog eating contest. It's like one guy will guzzle down like 80 hot dogs.
Yeah, I can't.
And it's like, and it's for a sport.
I can't watch that.
And it's like,
That's
I can't even down 3 hot dogs. And I see somebody doing 60, 70, 80 hot dogs in one sitting. It's like you could have fed like all these people. They would have been happy with one hot dog. You could have fed like 70, 80 people.
Yeah.
And so, so when food is wasted, I'm not a big fan of like I think Letterman did a watermelon thing where they basically just took watermelons and put it on a slingshot and flung it, and it just crashed in the street.
Oh, I hate that.
And it was, I just felt like it was just such a waste of food, because...
Well, I won a watermelon eating contest once when I was a kid, but I ate all the watermelon.
Right.
And it was good.
Was it good watermelon?
Oh, it was so good. I won.
You won.
But yes, when you go apple picking and they have the cannon, and I don't know, there's something deeply offensive about that.
It's disturbing to you. All
but
right.
if you look at what people they're trying to, I don't know, be creative and be artistic, and I don't know.
We're talking about the crop circles.
Crop circles.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, this looks like another downer of an episode. I'm sorry. Everybody. No, we're not. Look,
You know what? We could blame it on the migraine I had earlier in this afternoon.
So anyway, everybody should know Marjorie's been battling through a migraine headache, and the trooper that she is, she's come through big time. And
well, thank you.
Yeah, you sound great. And you look great. You don't look like you have a migraine. I think you're faking.
I'm a hoaxer.
You're a hoaxer. You're a migraine hoaxer. Yeah.
So listen, guys, please give us your feedback. If you like us, hit the like button. If you really like us, subscribe. Just subscribe. You can text us comments.
Yeah, there's
good,
texting.
bad, ugly.
Yeah, that's a thing now. So if you're on YouTube, if you go on YouTube and you find us, you can text us a comment about the show, or hit the like button and subscribe there, like Marjorie was saying. But we're on just about every podcast site out there. So Spotify, Apple, a whole slew of them. You can even get it on Alexa. I know somebody that listens to our show on Alexa. So he just pops it up. He asks, "Hey Alexa, Back to Paranormal," and playing Back to Paranormal.
Is that Alexa?
That's Alexa, yeah. You talk into it, and she responds. And then she takes over your home. Kicks you out. While you sleep, anyway.
So definitely, please, and stay in touch with us and reach out and ask us more questions if you want.
Yeah, we'd be happy to answer a few questions at the beginning of each show, like we did. And so, anyway, I think that's it for us. What's for next week? Do we have anything planned?
I have decided I no longer announce what the plan is, because I know I always come up and I mess it up.
I think we should do real Irish ghost stories. I think we should do that next week. Oh, we did it. We finally did it. Yeah. That's been, a lot of people have liked that show. Okay. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful evening or a wonderful day or morning whenever you listen to this thing.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week for more
Back to Paranormal.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.